In the vast expanse of timeless space, long before the cycles of creation began, there was only the deep silence of existence. Floating upon the infinite cosmic ocean, on the coils of the great serpent Anantashisha, lies a figure both serene and majestic. His body, blue like the endless sky or the calm ocean, rests in complete stillness, yet within him pulses the rhythm of the universe itself. This is Vishnu, the eternal preserver of all that exists, the one who sustains order amid chaos, harmony amid disorder, and life amid destruction. Vishnu is one of the three primary forms of the divine in Hindu thought, standing alongside Brahma the creator and Shiva the destroyer. But Vishnu's task is the most enduring. He preserves the cosmic balance, ensuring that the universe moves along its destined path. Without Vishnu, creation would spiral into disarray. His presence, though calm and still, is the very essence of continuity, of protection, and of guidance. He is often imagined with 4 arms, each bearing an emblem of his divine powers. In one he holds the conch shell, whose sound signifies the origin of life and the sacred syllable Om. In another, the chakra spins, a radiant discus of fire and light, capable of slicing through any evil or illusion. The mace in his third hand represents his strength and authority, while the lotus in the fourth symbolizes purity, transcendence, and the unfolding of consciousness. Vishnu's form radiates a golden brilliance. Clothed in silk as yellow as the morning sun, crowned with jewels that rival the stars, he is a vision of peace and power in perfect balance. In the cosmic cycle, Vishnu does not act constantly, but he is ever aware. When the world loses its way, when the forces of dharma, of unrighteousness and greed and cruelty, begin to threaten the balance of life, Vishnu intervenes. Not directly, but by taking form upon the earth. These divine forms, known as avatars, are perhaps the most well-known aspect of Vishnu's presence. Through them he walks among mortals, not as a distant god, but as a being of flesh and purpose. His promise, recorded in the Bhagavad Gita, is eternal. Whenever dharma declines and injustice rises, he shall descend, age after age, to protect the good, destroy the wicked, and restore harmony. Each of these incarnations carries a lesson for humanity. When he came as Matsya the fish, he guided the first man, Manu, through a great flood, carrying with him the sacred texts to begin civilization anew. As Kurma the tortoise, he supported the mountain on his back during the churning of the ocean, allowing gods and demons to uncover divine treasures hidden beneath the cosmic waters. As Varaha the boar, he plunged into the ocean to rescue the earth itself, lifting her upon his tusks from the depths where a demon had hidden her. When tyranny grew too clever for brute strength, Vishnu came as Narasimha, neither man nor beast, to slay the demon Hiranyakashipu, who had thought himself invincible. Later, as Vamana, a dwarf Brahmin, he tricked the demon king Bali with humility and wit, reclaiming the heavens in 3 measured steps. And when humanity became corrupted by its own power, he returned as Parashurama, a warrior sage with an axe, to humble the arrogant and cleanse the earth of violence. But it is in the forms of Rama and Krishna that Vishnu's presence is most deeply felt across the centuries. As Rama, he is the Prince of Ayodhya, the embodiment of duty, honor, and righteousness. His life, chronicled in the Ramayana, speaks of loyalty, sacrifice, and the pain of exile borne with grace. He battles Ravana, a mighty demon king, not out of hatred, but to restore justice and retrieve his beloved wife Sita. Rama walks the path of the ideal man, noble, selfless, unwavering. As Krishna, Vishnu's presence takes a more playful, intimate turn. Born in secret, raised among cowherds, Krishna's childhood is filled with divine mischief. He steals butter, dances with gopis under the moonlight, and lifts an entire mountain on his finger to protect his people from a furious storm. But Krishna is not just the mischievous child. He is also the charioteer of Arjuna, the warrior prince caught in a battle of epic consequence. On the field of Kurukshetra, Krishna reveals the ultimate truths of the universe, the nature of the soul, the illusion of death, the necessity of action without attachment. This sacred teaching is the Bhagavad Gita, and it remains one of the most profound spiritual dialogues in human history. In some traditions, Vishnu is said to have appeared as the Buddha, teaching compassion and non-violence in a time when rituals had become empty and harmful. And still to come is his final form, Kalki, the warrior of the future, who will appear at the end of the current age, riding a white horse, wielding a flaming sword, and bringing an end to the age of darkness. But Vishnu is not always active. Sometimes he rests, and it is in his repose that another mystery unfolds. On the endless ocean of time, Vishnu reclines on the serpent Ananta, who represents infinity. In this cosmic sleep, he is both resting and dreaming. From his navel, a lotus blooms, and from the lotus emerges Brahma, who begins the work of creation. This vision of Vishnu as the sleeping Lord, Narayana, is not a picture of idleness, but of silent power. His very breath sustains worlds. His heartbeat moves galaxies. His stillness contains the seeds of all becoming. Vishnu is never alone. In his heart resides Lakshmi, goddess of beauty, fortune, and abundance. Wherever Vishnu goes, she follows. When he is Rama, she is Sita. When he is Krishna, she is Rukmini, or in the hearts of mystics, Radha, the soul's purest longing. The union of Vishnu and Lakshmi is the union of stability and prosperity, of order and grace. Together, they sustain both the physical world and the inner life of the devotee. Throughout India and beyond, Vishnu is worshipped in countless forms. He is Venkateswara of Tirupati, Jagannath of Puri, Ranganatha of Srirangam. His temples rise like mountains across the landscape, places where the soul can come to rest in the shadow of the divine. His devotees chant his names, recite the Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Vishnu, singing his glories in early dawn and evening light. But Vishnu is not confined to stone or scripture. He lives in the quiet acts of protection, in the courage to do what is right, in the unseen support that arrives when the path seems most difficult. He is not a distant God, unreachable in the heavens. He is the still voice within, the unseen hand that steadies the heart. Philosophically, Vishnu represents the all-pervading consciousness. In the Vedantic tradition, particularly in the teachings of Ramanuja, Vishnu is the supreme being, and all living beings are parts of his infinite body. He is the inner self of the universe, the one who abides in all things, yet remains beyond all limitation. To love Vishnu, then, is to love all creation. To serve him is to serve life itself. And yet Vishnu is also deeply personal. For the devotee, he is not just the preserver of cosmic order, but a companion, a protector, a beloved. In the songs of the saints he is wept for, yearned for, rejoiced in. His smile is solace. His silence is a teaching. His presence, even when unseen, is the promise that the universe is not blind, that the good will be upheld, that in time all will return to balance. Alas, this is Vishnu, the preserver, the guardian of the worlds, the dreamer of creation and the awakener of souls. In every age, in every heart that calls out with sincerity, he responds, perhaps not with spectacle, perhaps not with thunder, but with a whisper, a vision, a step toward light. The Prediation Arot, Ayacha the Woro Cham. And in that step, the world begins again. And so it is that Vishnu, ever watchful and ever near, becomes more than a distant divine ideal. He becomes the force that moves beneath the surface of time itself. In moments when the universe wavers, when the harmony of existence is disrupted, he does not remain apart. Instead, from that place of quiet omnipresence, he stirs. And from that stirring emerges the timeless rhythm of descent, divine form, answering mortal need. To understand this cosmic unfolding, we must return to the beginning, not merely of the story, but of all stories. Before the beginning of beginnings, before the turning of ages and the rise and fall of civilizations, there was Vishnu, the preserver, the guardian of cosmic balance. Though he lies in eternal stillness upon the endless serpent Ananta, afloat on the ocean of existence, he is never idle. His stillness contains power. His silence holds purpose. For Vishnu is not a god of absence. He is a god of presence. And when the world strays from its rightful path, when the laws of dharma are threatened by greed, cruelty, or chaos, Vishnu rises. He descends. These divine descents are known as avatars, from the Sanskrit root ava, meaning down, and tree, to cross or pass. The avatar is a crossing down, a movement from the infinite to the finite, from the formless to the formed. And though Vishnu is eternal, pure consciousness without limit, he takes on a body, walks the earth, speaks in human tongue, and acts as one of us. But he is never merely one of us. He is the divine, cloaked in mortal form, Shakaso. The tradition speaks of 10 principal avatars of Vishnu. This is the Dashavatara, 10 forms, each suited to a different age, a different crisis, a different lesson. From fish to warrior, from king to cowherd, from god to teacher, these forms unfold the story of humanity and its evolution across the ages. Let us now travel through each avatar, not merely as myth or symbol, but as a living, breathing journey through time, consciousness, and truth. The first avatar is Matsya, the fish. It is said that in a previous cycle of the world, a great flood threatened to destroy all life. Manu, the first man, a noble king and seeker of wisdom, was washing his hands in a river when a tiny fish swam into his palms. The fish begged for protection. Manu, moved by compassion, placed it in a jar. But the fish grew rapidly until it needed a pond, then a lake, and finally the ocean. Realizing this was no ordinary creature, Manu bowed before the fish, who revealed himself as Vishnu. Forewarned of the coming deluge, Manu was instructed to build a great ark, to gather seeds of all plants, pairs of all animals, and the sages who would preserve knowledge. When the waters rose and the world drowned, it was Vishnu, as Matsya, who guided the ark through the storm, his horn tied to the vessel with a serpent rope. Matsya is more than a story of survival. He is the archetype of beginnings, the divine consciousness that steers life through chaos, preserving the spark that will rebuild the world. The second avatar is Kurma, the tortoise. When the gods and demons decided to churn the cosmic ocean to obtain Amrita, the nectar of immortality, they used Mount Mandara as a churning rod and the serpent Vasuki as the rope. But the mountain began to sink into the ocean. At that moment, Vishnu appeared as a great tortoise and supported the mountain on his back. For ages, he remained still beneath the turning of worlds, as gods and demons strained in their celestial task. Kurma teaches us the value of stillness and service. He is the unseen foundation of great movements. Sometimes, to create change, we must be steady. Sometimes, to churn forth nectar, someone must bear the weight of the world with patience and grace. From the ocean we rise to the earth, and here comes the third avatar, Varaha, the boar. In this age, the demon Hiranyaksha had plunged the earth, personified as the goddess Bhudevi, into the depths of the cosmic ocean. The gods cried out, and from Vishnu's nostrils emerged Varaha, a massive, powerful boar. Roaring with divine fury, he plunged into the waters, found the goddess, and lifted her on his tusks. He battled Hiranyaksha for 1,000 years before slaying him and restoring the earth to its rightful place. Varaha is primal strength, courage born of compassion. His form is wild, his purpose pure. He shows that the divine will descend even in the humblest form to rescue the world, and that no force, no matter how dark, can hold the earth if love, and will rise to defend her. But what happens when evil cloaks itself in piety? When a being masters sacred knowledge but forgets humility? Then comes the fourth avatar, Narasimha, the man-lion. Hiranyakashipu, brother of Hiranyaksha, had obtained a boon that he could not be killed by man or beast, inside or outside, by day or night, with weapon or by hand, on earth or in sky. He believed himself immortal. He persecuted all who worshipped Vishnu, including his own son Prahlada, a young boy whose devotion could not be shaken. One evening, as dusk settled, Hiranyakashipu demanded proof of Vishnu's presence. "Is he in this pillar?" he sneered. Prahlada said yes. In a burst of fire, the pillar cracked open, and from it leapt Narasimha, neither man nor beast. With claws instead of weapons, on the threshold, at twilight, Narasimha lifted the demon onto his lap and tore him apart. Every clause of the boon was respected, yet the arrogance of invincibility was undone. Narasimha is fury for the sake of the innocent. He reminds us that the divine may be patient, but when love is threatened, protection is fierce and unstoppable. Justice does not always wear a gentle face. In the fifth avatar, Vamana, Vishnu returns as a dwarf Brahmin. The demon king Bali had conquered the three worlds, but unlike his predecessors, Bali was not cruel. He was generous, noble, yet proud. In disguise, Vamana approached him during a ritual and asked for 3 steps of land. Bali laughed and agreed. But Vamana grew until he became vast as the universe. With 1 step, he covered the earth. With the second, the heavens. With no space left, Bali offered his own head for the 3rd step. Vamana accepted, placing his foot on the king's head and pushing him into the netherworld. Yet he blessed Bali too, for his humility and sacrifice. Bali would be reborn in a future age as a just ruler. Vamana's story is about perspective. Power, even when well-intentioned, must bow to truth. Greatness is not in size, but in surrender to the divine. The sixth avatar is Parashurama, the warrior priest. In an age when kings had become corrupt, abusing their power, and waging senseless war, Vishnu took the form of a Brahmin with the rage of a warrior. Parashurama carried an axe given by Shiva and waged a campaign to restore balance, slaying generations of tyrant rulers. He is fierce, solitary, meditative. Though born of a peaceful caste, he shows that dharma sometimes calls for action, for fiery resistance to injustice. Parashurama does not vanish after his mission. He continues to roam, eternal, a bridge between ages. He trains heroes. He appears when needed. He is the undercurrent of discipline and divine wrath, quiet, controlled, but ever-present. Then comes the seventh avatar, Rama, the prince of Ayodhya, and the hero of the Ramayana. Rama is the perfect man, dutiful son, loving husband, just king. When his stepmother demands his exile, he accepts without resentment. When his wife Sita is kidnapped by the demon Ravana, Rama wages a great war, aided by Hanuman and the Vanara army. He defeats Ravana not out of vengeance, but to restore righteousness. Rama's life is marked by sacrifice. He gives up the throne, lives in the forest, doubts, suffers, even sends Sita away to preserve royal honor. His story is not without tragedy, but his devotion to dharma never wavers. He is the embodiment of ideal conduct, showing us that the path of truth is not easy, but it is noble. The eighth avatar is Krishna, the divine cowherd, philosopher, statesman, and guide. Born in prison, under threat of death, raised among cowherds, Krishna's childhood is filled with divine play, stealing butter, dancing with the gopis, lifting Govardhan Hill. Yet he grows into a master of politics, a brilliant strategist, and the voice of divine wisdom. It is Krishna who engineers the victory of the Pandavas in the Mahabharata. It is Krishna who refuses to fight, but becomes Arjuna's charioteer. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, as Arjuna falters, Krishna delivers the Bhagavad Gita, a revelation of the soul's immortality, the need for action without attachment, and the path of devotion. Krishna is both God and friend. He is joy and justice, mischief and majesty, laughter and law. In him the divine is intimate, approachable, and ever near. The ninth avatar is Buddha, though interpretations vary. In some traditions, Vishnu incarnated as the Buddha to wean humanity away from excessive ritualism, sacrifice, and rigid dogma. He taught compassion, mindfulness, and the path of inner awakening. In this view, the Buddha is not denied as an independent teacher, but embraced as a form of divine intervention, leading the world toward gentleness and introspection when it had strayed into cruelty cloaked as religion. Here, Vishnu appears not to battle demons, but to battle ignorance. Not with weapons, but with silence and understanding. The Buddha reminds us that sometimes the greatest revolution is inner, the greatest conquest is of the self. And finally, we await the 10th avatar, Kalki, the horse-riding warrior of the future. In the last phase of the Kali Yuga, the age of darkness and degradation, when morality has all but vanished, Kalki will appear. Clad in armor, riding a white steed, wielding a blazing sword, he will cut through the corruption of the world. He will destroy the wicked and usher in a new Satya Yuga, a new age of truth and light. Kalai Siddhatain, Matachi, Bivebi, Kalki is not yet here, but his presence is felt in the hope we carry that the world, however lost it may seem, can be restored. That the divine watches, and when the time comes, will rise again. The Dashavatara is not merely a collection of tales. It is a mirror of time, a journey of humanity's evolution, a rhythm of rise and fall, of forgetting and remembering. Each avatar reflects an aspect of life, our struggles, our pride, our ignorance, our courage, our longing. Vishnu does not come to dominate. He comes to remind. He does not force us to follow. He walks among us, showing the way. From the fish that steers the boat of beginnings, to the horseman who ends in age, the avatars of Vishnu are a cosmic dance of form and formlessness, of story and silence, of law and love. They are, ultimately, the story of us. And as we listen, may we remember the divine does not dwell only in heavens above, but also in the hearts that call, the hands that serve, and the voices that seek the truth. Let us live in such a way that when Vishnu next descends, he finds us ready, not as bystanders, but as companions in the work of preserving the sacred order of the world. To walk beside Vishnu in the unfolding of Dharma is also to understand the great moments when the divine intervened to steady the world. For the story of Vishnu's avatars is not only written in human hearts, but etched into the fabric of cosmic history. To truly grasp the depth of his role as preserver, we must journey back, far beyond the memory of men, beyond the rise of kings and kingdoms, to a time before time, when creation itself still hovered on the edge of becoming. There, in the still and silent waters of the void, begins one of the most profound episodes in all of myth, the churning of the cosmic ocean. In the beginning, long before the world as we know it took shape, there was chaos. The heavens and earth were not yet divided. The oceans were unformed, the skies uncertain, the laws of nature unestablished. In that primal state of existence, hidden deep within the folds of time, was an eternal ocean. This was no ordinary sea. It was the Kshira Sagara, the ocean of milk, vast and boundless, stretching beyond the horizon of thought. Within its depths were unimaginable treasures, divine secrets, and the nectar of immortality, Amrita. And it was this nectar that would ignite one of the most legendary events in all of Hindu cosmology, the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean. But this is not just a tale of gods and demons fighting over a magical potion. It is a story of cooperation and conflict, of endurance and temptation, of cosmic strategy and divine grace. And at the heart of it all stands Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, orchestrating, intervening, and transforming, again and again. To understand the churning of the ocean, we must first understand the stakes. The gods, or devas, though immortal in spirit, were not immune to fatigue, aging, or defeat. Their power waxed and waned with cosmic cycles. And in this age, they were waning. Their arch-rivals, the Asuras, or demons, had grown strong and bold, threatening the balance of the universe. Led by Indra, the king of the gods, the Devas found themselves humiliated. The demons were marching on heaven, order was fraying, and the celestial hierarchy teetered on the brink of collapse. Seeking refuge, Indra and the gods turned to Vishnu. They fell at his feet, their crowns dusty, their eyes filled with fear. And Vishnu, ever the protector, did not dismiss them. He listened. Then he devised a plan. It was audacious, dangerous, and required humility. To restore their strength, the gods would need the Amrita, hidden within the depths of the ocean of milk. But to churn such an ocean, to bring the nectar to the surface, would require enormous power, more than the gods alone could muster. So Vishnu advised them to form a temporary alliance with the Asuras, to share the labor of churning, to promise a portion of the nectar, and only afterward, when the time was right, to ensure the nectar remained in the hands of the righteous. The gods were hesitant. Work with demons? Deceive them? But Vishnu assured them, the preservation of balance sometimes required strategy, not brute force. And so the alliance was formed, for once. The heavens and the netherworld shook hands, their mutual greed for immortality binding them. Now came the question, how does one churn an ocean? The great Mount Mandara was chosen as the churning rod, tall, strong, unmovable. And for the rope, the Asuras brought forth Vasuki, the king of serpents, whose coiled body was long enough to encircle the mountain. Together, the gods and demons wrapped Vasuki around the peak. The Devas took one end of the serpent, and the Asuras took the other. But as they pulled, Mount Mandara, having no foundation, began to sink into the ocean's depths. All their effort was about to be lost. And here, Vishnu appeared in his second form as Kurma, the giant tortoise. Vast as the sky, he descended into the ocean and placed Mount Mandara upon his broad cosmic back. With his shell as the base, the mountain now stood firm. The churning could begin. Back and forth, the Devas and Asuras pulled, the mountain turning like a spindle. The ocean frothed and boiled. Celestial beings and sea creatures fled its fury. Thunder roared without storm. Lightning cracked without clouds. It was a labor that spanned ages, and it bore fruits both wondrous and terrible. The first to emerge was not nectar, but poison, a deadly black venom known as hala hala. Its fumes alone could kill. As it spread, choking gods and demons alike, the churning halted. Panic swept across the cosmos. But then came Shiva, the great ascetic. In an act of unparalleled sacrifice, he drank the poison to save all creation. Parvati, his consort, clutched his throat to prevent the poison from descending into his heart. It lodged there, staining his neck blue, and so Shiva became Nilkantha, the blue-throated one. Once the poison was contained, the churning resumed, and with it came wonders. Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow, arose. Then Uchchaishravas, a divine white horse, and Airavata, the majestic elephant who would become Indra's mount. Next emerged the Kalpavriksha, the wish-fulfilling tree, and Apsaras, celestial nymphs of beauty and grace. The goddess of wine, Varuni, rose next, choosing the Asuras as her companions. Then came Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, grace, and prosperity. The ocean of milk, stirred by divine effort, offered up Vishnu's eternal consort. She walked forth, lotus in hand, radiant beyond description. The gods wept with joy. The demons gazed in stunned silence. All watched as Lakshmi approached Vishnu, garland in hand, and placed it around his neck. The union of sustainer and fortune was re-established. But the churning continued. The prize had not yet appeared. Finally, after more effort than words can tell, the Dhanvantari, the divine physician, emerged from the waves, bearing in his hands a golden pot filled with Amrita, the nectar of immortality. A fierce struggle erupted. The Asuras, abandoning all pretense of alliance, lunged for the pot. They seized it and began to flee. The Devas, weakened and outnumbered, could only watch in despair. But Vishnu was not done. Taking on his most beguiling form yet, he transformed into Mohini, the enchantress. A being of unearthly beauty, grace and charm, Mohini approached the Asuras with poise and a gentle smile. She offered a solution. To ensure fairness, she would distribute the nectar herself, equally, in a just and orderly manner. The demons, captivated by her elegance, agreed. Mohini took the pot and began to serve. But as she moved from one Asura to another, she gave nothing. Then she turned to the Devas, and with each offering, poured nectar into their palms. The gods drank, their strength returned, their immortality was restored. One Asura, however, grew suspicious. His name was Swarbhanu. Disguising himself, he slipped into the line of the gods and received a drop of nectar. But before it could pass his throat, the sun and the moon, Surya and Chandra, recognized the intruder and alerted Mohini. In an instant, Vishnu dropped the illusion and hurled his discus. It sliced Swarbhanu's head from his body. But the nectar had done its work. The head became Rahu, and the body Ketu, celestial shadows who forever chased the sun and moon across the skies, occasionally swallowing them in moments we call eclipses. With the Amrita now secured, the alliance shattered. The Devas, re-empowered, rallied. A great battle followed. The Asuras, though furious, could not win. They were driven back into the depths of the netherworld. The heavens were restored. Order prevailed, for a time. But the lessons of the churning endure. Samudra Manthan is not just cosmic history. It is a metaphor for spiritual life. The ocean is the mind, deep, vast, and filled with potential. The mountain is concentration, the steady point around which effort turns. The serpent is desire, dangerous yet necessary to drive the process. The gods and demons are our qualities. Aspiration and ignorance, cooperation and conflict, pulling against each other. When we churn the ocean of the self, the first thing that arises may be poison, the pain we've hidden, the shadows we've ignored. But like Shiva, we must face it. Only then can beauty rise. Only then can Lakshmi emerge. Only then can we find the nectar of divine truth. Vishnu's role in this tale is subtle, yet supreme. He advises, he transforms, he supports, he enchants. He is the tortoise, the strategist, the savior. He shows that preservation is not passive. It is active, creative, intelligent. He guides the world not through control, but through timely appearance. In Mohini we see a divine paradox. The ultimate truth wears the face of illusion to protect itself from the unworthy. But the illusion is also part of the plan. Even deception, in Vishnu's hands, becomes a tool of dharma. There is, too, a lesson about cooperation. Gods and demons, so often at odds, must work together to reach the divine. Without unity, the ocean remains still. Without shared effort, the nectar cannot be found. The churning of the ocean is a story of everything. Of psychology, of ethics, of politics, of yoga, of transformation. It teaches us that progress requires patience, that struggle is inevitable, that truth must be protected, and that even the gods must sometimes act through disguise. And above all, it teaches that when we are caught in chaos, when the world seems submerged in confusion, and the treasures of peace are hidden from view, we must churn. We must keep turning, pulling, striving. We must hold firm to the center, trust the process, and remember that the divine is with us, beneath us, beside us, within us. Vishnu lies beneath the mountain, holding it steady. Vishnu walks among the gods, planning their future. Vishnu rises from the waves, bearing nectar, and Vishnu dances as Mohini, reminding us that the divine appears in the form we most need, at the time we most need it. Nopan. Samudra Manthan is not over. It happens again and again. In every age, in every life, in every mind that dares to seek the eternal. So when you feel the world turning, when your own thoughts churn with tension, when your efforts raise more poison than reward, remember the story. Stay with the mountain, face the poison, watch for the goddess, and never forget, the nectar always rises, but only after the deepest churn. When the churning has ceased and the nectar finally rises, one might imagine the story ends there, with victory, clarity, divine reward. But the cosmos is rarely so simple. Even when the treasure is won, even when the goal is in sight, another test often awaits. Sometimes it is not the battle that breaks us, but what comes after. The struggle to protect what has been earned, to preserve what is sacred. And in such moments, the divine reveals itself in unexpected forms. For what better way to protect the nectar of truth than through illusion? What better way to guard reality than to wear a mask that deceives? It is in this shimmering paradoxical dance that Vishnu appears. Not as warrior or king or sage, but as Mohini, the enchantress, the beguiling, the beautiful. This is not just a story of disguise. It is the revelation of truth hidden in allure, wisdom clothed in wonder, the feminine face of the preserver. The story of Mohini begins, like so many tales of Vishnu, with imbalance. The nectar of immortality had been won from the churning of the ocean of milk, but its fate still hung in the balance. As the Devas rejoiced in the appearance of Amrita, the golden vessel that held eternity within it, the Asuras, those beings of ambition and power, shadow and pride, were quick to act. They seized the pot. They fled. The gods, exhausted from the churning, looked on in despair. All their effort, all the risk, all the patience, about to be undone. Immortality in the hands of the Asuras would mean the undoing of the moral fabric of existence. For they did not seek balance or enlightenment, but dominance. If they drank the nectar, The age of shadows would reign unchallenged. But Vishnu, calm and ever-watching, did not raise a weapon. He did not call for thunder or flames. Instead, he transformed. From the divine masculine emerged the divine feminine, not as an opposite, but as a completion. Not as an illusion of weakness, but as an expression of supreme intelligence. He became Mohini. Mohini, whose name comes from the root moha, meaning delusion or enchantment, is the only female avatar of Vishnu. She is not an incarnation born into the world like Rama or Krishna, but a divine manifestation, appearing at will, radiant beyond comprehension. She is beauty in motion, grace in form. Her presence confounds the mind and captivates the senses, not to trap, but to reveal. When Mohini approached the Asuras, their ambition turned to fascination. Their desire to possess immortality was quickly eclipsed by the desire to impress her, to win her gaze, her approval. They had never seen anything so perfect, so poised. She promised to distribute the nectar fairly, with elegance and balance, so that all might benefit. And so, completely disarmed, the Asuras handed her the pot. What followed was not deception for its own sake, but a dance of strategy. With measured step and dazzling poise, Mohini walked among the ranks of the Asuras and Devas. She lifted the nectar in her golden hands, tipping it gently into the palms of the gods, one by one. To the Asuras, she gave only charm, only promise. None noticed. So lost were they in admiration. Only one among them saw through the veil. His name was Swarbhanu. With the instincts of a warrior and the mind of a mystic, he sensed something was amiss. Cloaking himself in the likeness of a deva, he slipped into their line and received the nectar. But the sun and moon, Surya and Chandra, bore witness to the truth. They recognized him and called out. In an instant, Vishnu, no longer Mohini, cast the Sudarshana chakra, his discus of light. It flew through the air and severed Swarbhanu's head from his body. Yet the nectar had already touched his lips. He could not die. Thus, his head and body, each now imbued with immortality, became Rahu and Ketu, celestial shadows, cursed to forever chase the sun and moon across the sky, creating eclipses in their wake. This was the first and perhaps most famous appearance of Mohini, but it was not the last Maha in the Saira. The figure of Mohini does not vanish after her task is complete. She re-emerges in later legends not only as an illusion to confound the unworthy, but as a force that teaches the limitations of pride, the necessity of humility, and the depth of divine mystery. One such tale is found in the ancient stories of Shiva himself. Shiva, the ascetic, the meditative destroyer, the one who dances the end of worlds, was known for his detachment. Having consumed the halahala poison during the churning of the ocean, having mastered the power of meditation beyond time, Shiva was believed to be beyond desire. But the universe is built on paradox, and so it was that Shiva, the renouncer, asked to see Mohini. Perhaps he was curious. Perhaps he was testing himself. Perhaps, like many seekers, he wanted to see what form delusion truly took. Vishnu warned him. Mohini was not just beauty. She was the embodiment of Maya, the illusion that even the wise must confront. But Shiva insisted. So Vishnu agreed. And before Shiva's gaze, he transformed again into Mohini. The forest grew silent, the wind stilled, and there, in the flickering golden light, Mohini appeared, Shiva, the lord of self-control, the yogi beyond time, was enchanted. His detachment wavered, his composure faltered. He followed her, he reached for her, and as she moved, dancing through the trees, laughing gently, Shiva lost himself in pursuit. It was not lust that overtook him, but wonder. This form of Vishnu challenged all his assumptions. Mohini was not temptation. She was Lila, divine play. She revealed to Shiva that even detachment must bow before the totality of truth. In some tellings, from their union was born a child. Ayyappa, the god who carries both the essence of Vishnu and the fire of Shiva, worshipped across South India as a symbol of harmony between opposing forces. And so, Mohini was not merely illusion, she was a teacher. Trasaya, she teaches the asuras the limits of ambition. She teaches the devas that the divine may not always come in expected forms. She teaches Shiva that even detachment is part of the greater dance. In the mythology, Mohini is often called the most beautiful, but her beauty is not simply physical. It is symbolic of the divine mystery that attracts the seeker, the illusion that draws the soul forward. In Vedantic thought, Maya is not simply falsehood. It is the power through which the one appears as the many. It is illusion, yes, but also manifestation. Without Maya, there is no world. Without Mohini, there is no movement toward truth. Vishnu, by taking the form of Mohini, does not become less than himself. He becomes complete. For the divine is not fixed in form. It flows, it responds, it adapts. When justice must wear a sword, Vishnu becomes a warrior. When truth must come through play, he becomes Krishna. And when protection must come through charm, when strategy must be cloaked in grace, he becomes Mohini. Hari Bashi. It is important too to recognize what Mohini is not. Hari Bashi Farhad. She is not a trickster in the petty sense. Her illusions do not mock or manipulate for amusement. They serve a higher purpose. The asuras, though deceived, are not cursed by her. They are undone by their own desires, their own inability to see past the surface. Mohini holds up a mirror. What the viewer sees depends on their own heart. And even those who see through her veil, like Swarbhanu, receive a place in the cosmic order. Rahu and Ketu are not cast into oblivion. They become part of the dance of light and shadow, reminding us during every eclipse that the play of illusion and truth is ongoing. Mohini challenges traditional categories. She is not merely feminine. She is the union of opposites. She is Vishnu, yet not. She is form, yet the revealer of formlessness. In her, the boundaries of gender, power, and identity dissolve into something deeper. A recognition that the divine can wear any face, speak any language, appear in any form. Mohini represents grace in its most mysterious and subtle form. She is like the dance of light on the surface of water, a momentary glimmer that draws us deeper. She is the gentle echo that pulls us inward, the faint fragrance that makes us pause and pay attention. Though she is illusion, it is not the kind meant to deceive. It is an illusion that prepares us, teaches us, and ultimately opens the gate to understanding. Mohini is not confined to scriptures or ancient stories. We encounter her presence in life itself, in those moments when beauty unexpectedly humbles us, when our carefully laid plans are disrupted by something wiser and more compassionate. She appears in the guidance of teachers who lead through story and subtlety, rather than direct instruction, and she reveals herself in moments that charm us, not to trick, but to help us see something we would otherwise resist. Vishnu as Mohini is not a contradiction. Rather, it serves as a reminder that the divine is not limited by our definitions or expectations. Truth, after all, can wear a smile. Wisdom can adorn itself with jewelry. And salvation may come not with grand gestures, but with a quiet glance. When we find ourselves confused or uncertain, when the path forward seems illusory or unclear, we should not despair. Instead, we can remember Mohini and ask, what truth might be hidden in this moment? What lesson lies beneath what we see? What kind of grace could be waiting within the illusion? Mohini does not linger. She appears when needed, offers what is necessary, and departs. What she leaves behind is not emptiness, but clarity, reflection, and a deeper sense that we have witnessed something beyond the ordinary, something divine, even transformative. This is the essence of Mohini, a goddess who is not quite a goddess. An illusion that reveals rather than hides. A beauty that protects rather than distracts. Above all, she is a form that proves, again and again, that Vishnu will take any shape, wear any face, and become anything necessary to preserve the world and guide the soul. Yes, even her. Especially her. Mohini, the eternal enchantress. And so Vishnu, in the form of Mohini, reminds us that love and truth are not always clad in certainty. They are fluid, appearing in whatever form is most needed. His ability to transform, to embody both strength and softness, law and love, shows us that the divine is not rigid. It adapts. It relates. And perhaps nowhere is this divine adaptability more profoundly expressed than in Vishnu's love stories, tales that span across yugas and incarnations, in which the eternal preserver engages in deep, complex, and timeless relationships. For though Vishnu is the sustainer of the universe, he is also the beloved, tender, affectionate, and ever devoted. To understand Vishnu fully, we must not only look at his cosmic deeds, but also at his divine heart. This is the story of Vishnu's love. Love, in its truest form, is eternal. It does not cling, but connects. It does not possess, but protects. And in the cosmic landscape of Hindu mythology, no figure embodies this principle more deeply than Vishnu. Though often revered as the guardian of dharma, the preserver of worlds, he is equally the divine lover, constant in devotion, generous in affection, and gentle in spirit. His relationships, especially with Lakshmi, but also in the forms of Sita, Radha, Rukmini, and others, offer not just stories of romance, but profound metaphors of cosmic harmony. At the heart of Vishnu's love life is his eternal consort, Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, beauty, and grace. She is not only his beloved, she is his very essence. The two are inseparable, not just in myth, but in symbolism. While Vishnu sustains, Lakshmi blesses. While he governs order, she brings abundance. And wherever he goes, across avatars, worlds, and lifetimes, she follows. Their union is not born of circumstance, but of balance. Vishnu represents the cosmic protector. Lakshmi represents the divine nurturer. Together, they ensure not only the continuity of the universe, but also the flourishing of all that lives within it. Their first great appearance as a divine pair comes in the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean of milk. From the depths of that celestial sea rises Lakshmi, radiant and serene, bearing a lotus in her hand. Though many celestial beings admire her beauty and seek her favor, it is Vishnu whom she chooses. Quietly, without fanfare, she walks to him and places the garland around his neck. It is not a conquest, but a recognition. She sees in him not only a god, but a home. This moment is the cosmic marriage of sustenance and prosperity. But the story of their love does not remain static in Vaikuntha, the celestial realm. It takes shape again and again through Vishnu's many incarnations. And each time, Lakshmi descends with him, adapting to the new form, embodying the ideal of that age, and playing a central role in his earthly journey. As Rama, Vishnu is born into the royal house of Ayodhya, and Lakshmi, in this age, takes birth as Sita, daughter of King Janaka. Their meeting is as graceful as their union is powerful. Sita is not just beautiful. She is wise, strong, and deeply rooted in dharma. When Rama breaks Shiva's mighty bow to win her hand, it is not an act of dominance, but of destiny fulfilled. Their love is one of profound respect, forged not only in the joys of the palace but in the hardships of exile. For 14 years, Sita walks beside Rama through the forests, renouncing luxury without hesitation. When she is abducted by Ravana and taken to Lanka, Rama's grief is the grief of the universe itself. His battle to rescue her is not just to reclaim his wife, it is a cosmic act to restore the balance of righteousness. Yet even this love is tested. Upon returning to Ayodhya, whispers among the people about Sita's time in captivity lead to heartbreak. Rama, bound by his role as king, sends her away. Sita, full of dignity, accepts her fate without bitterness. She gives birth to their sons in the forest, raises them with wisdom, and ultimately returns to the earth, her mother. Rama's love never falters. His eyes search for her even as he rules, and when his earthly duties are complete, he walks into the river Sarayu to reunite with her in the beyond. From this tale, we learn that divine love is not always about union in time, but in truth. It is a love that honors duty, even in pain. In another age, Vishnu returns as Krishna, the cowherd of Vrindavan, the flute player who steals hearts with melody and smile. And Lakshmi follows him again, this time as Radha, though she is not his wife. Her age. Here, love takes on a different color, not bound by ritual or law, but by the deep ache of longing. Radha and Krishna's love is a spiritual metaphor. It is the soul yearning for the divine. Their moments together are ecstatic, dancing under moonlight, exchanging glances by the riverbank. Yet, they're also destined to part. Krishna leaves for his destiny, and Radha remains behind, transformed by love into a seeker whose devotion never wanes. Unlike Rama and Sita, whose love is grounded in dharma and sacrifice, Krishna and Radha's love is transcendent. It does not follow the rules of the world. It follows the rhythm of the heart. Theirs is the love of mystics, of poets, of the gopis, who leave behind all duties to dance with God. Krishna does not belong to one alone. He belongs to all, and yet Radha remains the closest to his soul. But Krishna is not only the lover of Radha. In Dwarka, he takes Rukmini as his queen, another incarnation of Lakshmi. Rukmini, a princess of great beauty and intellect, falls in love with Krishna long before she meets him. Her letters to him, carried by trusted messengers, speak of a heart already surrendered. And Krishna, responding with joy, rides to her kingdom and carries her away from an arranged marriage, defying kings and customs alike. Rukmini and Krishna's love is marked by gentleness and mutual respect. Though Krishna marries many queens, Rukmini remains his principal consort. In stories told across generations, we hear of their playful banter, their tender moments, their spiritual equality. There's a tale where Krishna teases Rukmini, asking why she chose him, a cowherd without a kingdom, over other suitors. Rukmini, hurt by the jest, faints. And Krishna, realizing the depth of her devotion, lifts her tenderly and comforts her with love. In these human-like stories, we see the divine not as distant, but as intimate. Vishnu's love is never possessive. It is vast, allowing space for devotion to blossom. Whether as Rama or Krishna, as the unseen Narayana, or the playful Mohini, Vishnu's love is not about control. It is about connection. In South India, Vishnu's love life takes yet another beautiful form in the stories of Andal, the only female Alvar saint. Andal, deeply devoted to Vishnu, considered herself his bride. She composed songs filled with longing and divine romance. In her devotion, she refused all human suitors, claiming she was already wedded to the Lord. Eventually, it is said, Vishnu accepted her devotion and drew her into his realm. Andal's love, though not reciprocated in physical form, was answered through divine union beyond death. Through Andal, we see how the love for Vishnu transcends form, gender, and ritual. It becomes bhakti, pure, unfiltered devotion that transforms the soul. What is most striking across these stories is the many shapes that Vishnu's love takes. It can be fierce, as in Rama's protection of Sita. It can be playful, as in Krishna's dance with Radha. It can be tender, as in his marriage with Rukmini. It can be mystical, as in the longing of Andal. In each case, Vishnu meets the devotee where they are. He becomes what they need. This is the mark of true love. Not to insist on one form, one path, one destiny, but to remain steady while shifting, to remain constant while evolving. And what about Lakshmi? She too is not passive in these stories. She chooses him again and again across lifetimes. She does not follow because she must, but because she recognizes in Vishnu not only the Lord of the universe, but the home of her heart. Even in Vishnu's more unusual forms, like that of Mohini, the undercurrent of love remains. In every enchantment, every illusion, every battle, Vishnu acts not for power, but for protection, for the preservation of the world and the souls within it. In modern temples and homes, Vishnu and Lakshmi are still worshipped together. Their images, side by side, represent the ideal union, not only between husband and wife, but between power and grace, action and compassion, the divine and the human. To love as Vishnu loves is not to escape the world, but to engage with it fully, with open hands and an open heart. It is to honor the soul of the other, even when bound by duty. It is to smile through the pain of separation, knowing that union, in the deepest sense, is never lost. The love stories of Vishnu teach us that divinity is not distant. It loves, it longs, it laughs, it lets go, and above all, it returns, again and again, to the ones who call. The next time you hear a distant flute, or feel a sudden wave of emotion stirred by something beautiful you can't quite explain, take a moment to remember Vishnu. When you find yourself devoted to a purpose beyond your own needs, or feel quietly supported through difficult times, it is Vishnu who sustains you. He is not only the preserver of the universe, but also the subtle force that protects love itself. His presence may not always be obvious, but it is constant, reliable, patient, and near. Love is not separate from preservation. It is at its very core. So when you encounter beauty, compassion, or peace, even briefly, recognize it as Vishnu's work. He sustains not just life, but the love within it. Worship of Vishnu, rituals, temples, and living devotion across the ages. Across the length and breadth of India, and far beyond its borders, the worship of Vishnu has woven itself into the daily lives, grand festivals, ancient temples, and sacred philosophies of millions. He is the preserver, the sustainer, and the cosmic protector of order. But Vishnu is not just worshipped as a distant god in the heavens. He is approached as a personal deity, a beloved, a king, and a companion. His presence is found in serene temples perched on mountaintops, in chants whispered by riverbanks, and in the beating hearts of devotees who see in him the promise of protection, of guidance, and of eternal return. To understand how Vishnu is worshipped is to enter a rich and multi-layered world of ritual, theology, art, community, and inner devotion. A world that spans ancient Vedic fire altars to digital live-stream darshans today. So let us take that journey together, through sacred spaces and daily offerings, through philosophies and pilgrimages, through light, sound, and silence, to discover how Vishnu, the cosmic preserver, continues to be honored and loved. The foundation of Vishnu worship lies in a tradition known as Vaishnavism, one of the major denominations of Hinduism. Followers of Vaishnavism regard Vishnu as the supreme deity, the ultimate reality from whom all creation springs and into whom it ultimately dissolves. While other gods are respected, it is Vishnu and his avatars, especially Rama and Krishna, who are considered the most intimate manifestations of divinity. But Vishnu is not just a figure of transcendence. He is also deeply personal. In fact, among his many names is Bhaktavatsala, the lover of devotees. The relationship between the devotee and Vishnu is not one of fear or submission, but of devotion, bhakti, trust, and often intense emotional connection. And it is through bhakti, more than any other practice, that Vishnu is worshipped. Bisinveler, Bisinveler, Bisinveler Zachled. Bisim's approach is expressed in many ways. In temples, yes, but also in homes, in songs, in stories, in acts of service. For centuries, Vishnu has been approached as a king, Narayana, a child as Krishna, a beloved as Radha's Krishna, a teacher as the Gita's Krishna, and even as a friend. The worshipper's relationship with him is chosen based on personal temperament, need, and spiritual stage. In temples, Vishnu is worshipped with grandeur and deep symbolic ritual. The Murti, or image of Vishnu, is treated not merely as a statue, but as a living deity. It is bathed, clothed, fed, adorned with garlands, and honored with music, incense, and light. Every morning, temple priests awaken the deity with chants, open the sanctum doors, and invite devotees for darshan, the sacred seeing of the divine. Throughout the day, various rituals mark meal times, offerings, and ceremonial gestures of respect, until the deity is ceremonially put to rest at night. These temple rituals are not arbitrary. They are guided by Agama Shastras, ancient scriptures that lay out precise procedures for temple construction, worship, and festivals. In South India, particularly in the Tamil region, Vishnu temples follow the Vaikhanasa and Pancharatra agamas, each with detailed liturgies of service and offerings. In these traditions, priests, archakas, act as intermediaries, performing pujas on behalf of the community and individuals. One of the central elements of Vishnu worship is the archana, a ritual where the names of Vishnu, often drawn from the Vishnu Sahasranama, or 1,000 names of Vishnu, are recited in front of the deity while offerings of flowers or tulsi leaves are made. Each name represents a quality of the divine: protector, healer, ocean of mercy, remover of fear, eternal flame. As the names are chanted, the devotee is not simply describing God. They are awakening those same qualities within themselves. Vishnu's temples are found across India, with major traditions in both north and south. In the north, he is often worshipped in the form of Krishna, Rama, or Vishnu Narayana, while in the south, he appears more frequently as Venkateswara, Ranganatha, or Varadaraja Perumal. Each of these forms carries unique traditions, architecture, and festivals. Perhaps one of the most revered Vishnu temples in the world is Tirumala Venkateswara Temple in Andhra Pradesh. Perched atop the hills of Tirupati, this temple draws millions of devotees every year, who wait for hours just to glimpse the dark, serene form of Vishnu as Lord Venkateswara, the Lord of the Seven Hills. According to legend, Vishnu took this form during the Kali Yuga to uplift humanity. The temple's rituals, Annadanam, feeding of devotees, and donations offered in gratitude, are among the most celebrated acts of faith in Hinduism today. In the south, another important temple is Ranganathaswamy Temple in Srirangam, Tamil Nadu. Here, Vishnu is worshipped in a reclining posture, Ananta Shayana, lying on the cosmic serpent Adishesha, floating upon the ocean of milk. This temple is vast, with intricately carved gopurams, gateway towers, and rich traditions of Sri Vaishnavism, a philosophical and devotional movement that considers Vishnu as the supreme being and Lakshmi as his inseparable grace. In North India, Krishna temples in Vrindavan and Mathura, and Rama temples in Ayodhya draw countless pilgrims. In these temples, devotion often takes a more intimate and emotional form through music, storytelling, and poetic expressions of longing. In Vrindavan, for instance, Krishna is worshipped with bhajans, kirtans, and raslila dramas, reenacting his divine play with Radha and the gopis. The air is filled with flute music, flower petals, and chants of Radhe Krishna, echoing the mood of divine romance. The love between devotee and deity is not confined to temples. In homes, Vishnu is worshipped through daily puja, offerings of food, naivedya, lighting of lamps, deepam, and chanting of mantras. Small altars often hold images or statues of Vishnu, Lakshmi, Rama, or Krishna, adorned with fresh flowers and sandalwood paste. Tulsi leaves, sacred to Vishnu, are offered in nearly every home puja. Devotees also engage in vratas, or vows, where they fast or perform special prayers on auspicious days. Ekadashi, the 11th day after the new and full moon, is particularly sacred to Vishnu. On these days, devotees fast, chant Vishnu's names, read the Bhagavad Gita or Vishnu Purana, and spend time in quiet reflection. The fast is not merely physical. It is a discipline of body and mind, a time to draw closer to the divine. Vishnu worship is also expressed through festivals, which transform communities into spaces of celebration and sanctity. Among the most important are some of the grand festivals that celebrate Vishnu's many forms and divine deeds, drawing millions of devotees into vibrant expressions of devotion, storytelling, music, and ritual. Vaikuntha Ekadashi, marking the day when the gate to Vishnu's abode is believed to open. Temples conduct night-long prayers, and devotees walk through symbolic gateways to receive divine grace. Krishna Janmashtami, celebrating the birth of Krishna, is filled with fasting, singing, reenactments of Krishna's childhood, and midnight worship, as devotees joyfully anticipate the divine child's arrival. Rama Navami, the birthday of Lord Rama, is observed with readings of the Ramayana, recitations of Ramcharitmanas, and processions of Rama's image through decorated streets. Narasimha Jayanti, honoring the fierce avatar who protected Prahlada, is celebrated with puja, fasting, and stories of courage and divine intervention. Vishnu Deepavali, in some southern traditions, marks the destruction of the demon Narakasura by Krishna. Many followers also undertake pilgrimages to the Divya Desams, 108 Vishnu temples, mentioned in the Tamil hymns of the Alvars, poet-saints whose verses form the heart of Tamil Vaishnava Bhakti. These temples are scattered across India and are revered for their ancient beauty, sacred power, and connection to Vishnu's various forms. Vaishnavism also has a rich philosophical tradition. The Sri Vaishnava school, established by Ramanujacharya, teaches Vishishtadvaita, or qualified non-dualism, where Vishnu is the supreme reality, and the soul is eternally connected to him through devotion. Lakshmi plays a central role in this philosophy, acting as the compassionate mediator between the devotee and Vishnu. Other Vaishnava traditions include Madhvacharya's Dvaita, which sees Vishnu and the soul as eternally separate but bound in devotion, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which emphasizes bhakti to Krishna as the highest path, expressed through singing, dancing, and love. In these movements, the chanting of names, or Nama Sankirtana, becomes a powerful practice. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is repeated with rhythm and music as both a prayer and a celebration. Across all these paths, one truth remains. Vishnu is not worshipped merely out of duty. He is loved. Devotion to him is a personal relationship, a lifelong connection. It is not based solely on fear of karma or hope for reward, but on a deep, soul-level bond with a divine presence that is caring, constant, and near. Even in times of doubt or despair, Vishnu is seen as the one who responds, not always with thunder or miracles, but with quiet guidance, with protection that is sometimes unseen, and with love that never wavers. Vishnu's worship continues to evolve. In modern times, temples are being restored and digitized. Scriptures are available at a touch, Songs of Krishna and Rama echo through cities and across continents. In the diaspora, Vishnu temples have been built in America, Europe, Southeast Asia, and Africa, carrying forward traditions through generations. And yet, whether it is a towering temple in Srirangam or a single oil lamp lit in a village home, the spirit of Vishnu worship remains the same. It is an invitation to preserve what is sacred, to hold fast to what is good, to love with faith, to serve with joy. Vishnu is not only the guardian of the universe, he is the guardian of the heart. He watches, he listens, and he answers, in forms ancient and ever new. To worship Vishnu is to remember this truth, that the divine sustainer is with us, in our rituals, in our silence, in our temples, in our homes, in our songs, in our struggles, in our faith, always.